Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. We've been going over the Course Technology JavaScript 6th edition textbook, looking at the PowerPoints for the book, and I'm now up to Chapter 12, which is an introduction to jQuery. And let me mention, I'm going to show a couple things that are not exactly shown in the book, but this chapter is meant to be just an introductory chapter. All right, this will probably be the shortest lecture out of all the ones that I've given. Our objectives: to be able to select elements using jQuery syntax and use the built-in jQuery functions. So, jQuery is a library, all right? And what I mean by that is jQuery is a huge file with a set of built-in JavaScript functions that have been pre-written for you. And the idea behind jQuery is that it will minimize the amount of code that you as a developer have to write, because you can call a lot of built-in jQuery functions. As it says here, it enables developers to implement common JavaScript tasks with minimal code. Now, this slide is old. All right, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a minute. But in the past, there was only jQuery 1 dot whatever and jQuery 2 dot whatever. All right. Notice that jQuery 1 dot, if you chose that, it supported the older versions of IE. In other words, IE 6, 7, and 8, where jQuery 2 dot only supports IE 9 and greater. All right. So the file for loading jQuery, surprisingly enough, is at jquery.com. All right, but notice it says here, if you want to do a download, it says version 3. Well, version 3 was when our textbook was created. Version 3 was not even in a exploratory mode. Okay, so if I go here to download jQuery, this is what I want to show you. So I'm literally clicking the button there where it said download jQuery. Now, what it tells me is, you notice there, that's the only version it looks like that I have. Is it possible to download earlier versions? I'm sure it is. I don't want to, though. But what I want to show you is the difference. There's 3 ways that you can download jQuery, and I want to show all of them to you right now. The first one is you can download what's called the compressed, and it's also known as the minified version of jQuery. Now, if I click that, there it is. Now you look at this and you say, well, that's just really hard to read. That's just a lot of garbage. No, that is the entire jQuery file that's in a minified version. So if I right mouse click on this and I choose a save page as, notice jQuery 3.0, so I'm going to save that to the desktop just like that. All right. Then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to find, whoops, I'm going to find the non-minified or uncompressed version. See how it looks a little bit different? It's the same file, but all the white space has been brought back. So I'm going to right mouse click on this and I'm going to save this again to my desktop. All right, why did I do that? Not to waste my time, not to waste your time, but to show you that if I look at these 2 files, if I right mouse click on the first one, here is the minified version. And you notice it's about 85K. Really, its size on the disk is 90K. If I open up the other one, notice the difference. This one is 260K, so approximately 3 times the size. Why should that matter to you? Well, if you're going to include jQuery in your website on 1 or more pages, then what you want to do is you'd probably want to use the minified version because it'll take less time because it's a smaller file. Now, you might turn around and go, okay, Jeff, I get that. But the problem is I can't read the minified version. All right? And my comment to you is, why would you have to? The only time you really need to read the minified version is if you want to be able to call some kind You want to be able to call some kind of jQuery function, and you don't know what that particular function is when you have to search for it. Okay, that makes sense. But other than that, it really makes no sense to ever download anything but the non-minified version. Okay, but let's say that you get to the point where you decide, you know what, I don't care if it's the minified version, I don't care if it's the non-minified version, I don't want to download it, period. I just don't want to use it. Okay, so what can you do? All right, what can you do? And the answer is, you've got an alternative. So if I go back to jquery.com, all right, I can download it again. You've already seen this in the compressed mode and the uncompressed. You've seen both of those. I don't know what this map file is, and I don't care. But I'm going to keep going down on the page, and here it says, use jQuery with a CDN. A CDN, this is an acronym that stands for Content Delivery Network. And if you do this, what happens is if I go out here to https://code.jquery.com. So if I go out there and I say, well, what do I want? Let's see, I want jQuery. Now notice I can have jQuery 1 and 2 if I want, but I want jQuery 3, and I want the minified version. All right, so what I can do is I can grab this, copy it to the clipboard, all right, and then, so let's say I want it in my HTML file here. All right, then right near the bottom, right before my body, I can paste that in. So, all right, really what I need more than anything else is this right here. What that says is I want you to go out to code.jquery.com and link in that file. All right? And what the advantage I get from that is now I don't even have to download jQuery. But there's also a disadvantage. Since I'm grabbing something that's on the net, I have to have an internet connection. All right? So if I know that people who are at my site are always going to have an internet connection, always, then I can do this. So again, 3 ways that I can possibly download jQuery. Don't worry about that stuff. Again, that's old. But 3 ways that I can go in and download jQuery. I can download the minified version, I could download the non-minified version, or I can link to a CDN or a content delivery network. So I can do any of those. All right. All jQuery code conforms to JavaScript rules. Every jQuery statement begins with a $sign. The $sign is actually an alias. All right. So instead of using the word jQuery, you just use the $sign. The $sign is followed by a reference to elements. And jQuery, more than anything else, jQuery has methods, jQuery has properties, but more than anything else, jQuery works with CSS selectors. What this line right here means is using jQuery, I want to select all H1 tags. This says, using jQuery, I want to choose everything that's got a class, the dot, of odd. If this had been a pound sign, it would be the ID of odd. All right? So you have the $sign, then typically you're going to be working with CSS selectors, which will be in parentheses. This can be either double quotes or single quotes. It doesn't matter. Here are some of the built-in jQuery methods. Now notice, these are not all of the methods. These are some of the methods that you use to traverse the DOM. All right, notice I can go first for the first element, last for the last element, next for the next element. There's something called prev previous for the previous element, parent for the parent element, sibling for all the siblings. But I do want to mention that one thing that is here, all right, is under jquery.com. Not the download, but under jquery.com. Notice you can click over here. And the one thing that's here is the jQuery core API documentation. I've already clicked on that, and that's here. Now, watch as I go through this. This is an alphabetized list. I've never counted how many things there are in here, but my guess is there are probably well over 100, maybe over 200. I don't have a clue. But the point is, these are all of the different methods that you can use with regular jQuery. In addition to that, there is the jQuery user interface and jQuery mobile. So these are different things that you can use. What's nice about this is, let's say that I come over here and I find, let's grab one, Animate. Well, that looks neat. So I go and click on it, and what it shows me is everything involved in it, all the options, etc. And then when I keep going and I go down toward the bottom, it shows me code. All right? And let me just show you quickly the kind of thing. Well, this isn't going to work well because I'm going to need this book.ping, but let's grab this anyway. So I'm going to grab this. This is just a piece of a website. All right? So I'm going to put this in, but you know what? So it looks like an actual index. Again, I'm going to put in my doc type. I'm going to put in my HTML tag. I'm going to put in my head tag and my title tag. And end my head tag. Put in my body tag. Do a little bit of work here. Again, I'm just trying to set this up so I can see all of it on the screen. All right, we do have a little CSS that was put in there inline, which is not a good practice, but it's done anyway. So we'll leave it like that. All right, so there. Now I'm going to save this. Do I have an index.html on my home page? Well, let's go back up here. Let's create a new folder, and we'll call it Chapter 14. I'm sorry, Chapter 12. And this will be in Chapter 12, index.html. Okay, so I've got that in there. That's the first file. Don't need these. These are from that previous chapter. Yeah, we can save. That's not going to hurt anything. All right. And there's nothing in there. Good, I can close that. All right, so now I'm going to go in back just where I was, and I'm going to grab this. This is a Jquery file. We'll take a look at that and decompose it in just a moment. All right. All right, so let's grab that. We'll put that here. What I'm showing you here, like it, not like it, whatever, but what I'm trying to show you here is how I set stuff up. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and we'll call this, well, what do they call it in here? Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Do we animate the opacity? Yeah. All right, let's grab this file, or this thing right here, this picture of the book. All right, so what we're supposed to be able to do is run this. So I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to save the image as. All right. And I'll save it to my desktop for now, and I'm going to call it book.jpg. All right, so I'm going to put that there, And then I'm going to have to change this book.jpg, not book.ping. All right, and I'm going to have to make sure that I take that JPEG file and move it into the right place, because now it's there. So I want to take it and I want to move it into my chapter, into my chapter 14. Where is my chapter 14? There's 9. I'm sorry, into chapter 12. So I'm going to move that there. All right, so there's that. That's good. All right, and now I've got to come in here, and what do I have to do? Well, I have to come in here and first, in my body tag, all right, I have to come in here and I have to add a script tag, and I've got to bring in Jquery. Then I've got to add a script tag, and I've got to bring my own script in. All right, and my script was called, we'll just call it book.js. That's what we'll save this as. All right, book.js. All right, so we've got that. You can see the coloring that's taken place in here now. So now we'll come in here and we're going to script source equal book.js. Okay, we'll bring that our ending script tag in, and now instead of using a script tag here, I'm going to go in and grab that CDN that I did before. So I'm going to go back out here to jquery.com. I'm going to go out to the download. I'm going to go down to jQuery CDN, find that, and we'll just put in the, again, the minified version. Okay, so I'm going to put all that in there. Copy and paste that in. All right, so that's been put in, and I want to make sure that I put my file, which might override something that's in there. So I want to put my file after the jQuery. All right, so I'm going to save that. Let's run it. It may not do anything, but let's run it and see if it does anything. All right, we got this. Click here, junk. This isn't what I wanted. All right, so that's what's goofed up, is this file here. That's the book.jpg. It's bad. All right, so let me do this. Let me go back out to Google. And we'll go to Google Images, and I'm going to have in there under Google Images, I'm going to have in there book 100 by 100. So I want a small picture of a book. That's 400 by 400, so that's kind of big. That's kind of small. Well, let's just try this one. So we're going to save this image to our desktop. Again, this will be ping, so we'll call this book.ping. All right, good. Maybe it was meant to be. We'll change this back to book.ping, PNG, and we'll make sure that we grab that book.ping that's right there, and we will move that over to our chapter 12 stuff. All right. Again, it still might not work, but let's see if it does anything now. All right. So we want to come in here, chapter 12, click on index.html. All right, click here. All right, it's not doing any automation, or animation, I should say. Let's grab something that's out on the nets, because I want to be able to show you what this does. Right now, I'm impressing no one, least of all myself. All right, jQuery animation example. All right, W3 schools, animate method. All right, we'll try something from here. All right. So, animate height, reset height. Watch what happens when I click animate height. that should be pretty obvious what just happened there. And reset, that should be pretty obvious what just happened there. So let's grab all of this right there. And what we'll do is I'll keep my example, even though it wasn't very good. I'll keep it anyway, and I'll get rid of both these. So for right now, I'll just shut them off. All right. And I'm going to come in here. Now notice it's an older version of jQuery that's being used, which is okay. All right. But I'm going to save this, and we'll call this index2.html. All right. And we'll come in and we'll run this. Animate, reset. So what's going on in here? All right. All of the jQuery code, all of it, is right here. This says that when everything has been loaded, that's the document.ready, call this function. And what this says is when you click the first button, animate the height. In other words, increase the height from its original 100 pixels, from right there, to 300 pixels. And then when you click the second button, have it go back to 100 pixels. That's very simple animation. All right? There's all sorts of other things that you can do with this. But animation is kind of a neat one to show because it's one most people can identify with. All right, I'm going to just close all this here. So, some examples of traversing the DOM using jQuery. What ends up happening once you start using jQuery and getting used to using jQuery, all right, you don't want to just do things with JavaScript anymore. As it says, plain JavaScript is JavaScript without jQuery. jQuery, the jQuery API has stuff that's set up for you so you end up writing less code. Here are some of the methods you can use to manipulate things. You can add classes, you can remove classes, you can add CSS to something, you can clone things. All right, and that's just some of the stuff that you can do. Many jQuery methods, as it says, serve a dual function. You can look up a value, which is like a get, and you can set a value, which is a set. All right. What I'm planning on doing in my class is writing a simple form and making 3 different derivations of it. The first derivation of it the form will have a bunch of validation added, but it will only solely be HTML5 validation. Then we'll add some more validation, but you'll make a copy of that. We'll remove all the HTML5 validation and validate it just using straight JavaScript. All right. Then we'll copy the original form and validate it, but we'll validate it using the jQuery Form Validator plugin. We're going to talk about plugins in just a moment. All right? But everything that you do with JavaScript, be it working with the DOM, working with event handlers, here's some examples of some of those event handlers. Specifying event handlers, working with event handlers, working with animation, and I showed you a cheesy little example of animation. All right. It's almost always much easier to do utilizing jQuery because you write less code. All right. The other thing is jQuery has literally hundreds, if not thousands, of things that are called plugins. All right, so what I want to show you is 2 things before we finish up. The chapter is just about finished. All right, what's left in the chapter here? The summary. 2 slides of summary, but before you see those, first thing I want to do is I want to go to not jQuery, but jQueryUI.com. UI is the user interface. So let's say that I want to create an accordion. What's an accordion? Well, this is an accordion right here. Notice when I click on any one of these, what happens? There are about 29 different things that are built in right here. If I click here and I view the source, I can grab all of that source. And notice it doesn't even copy the line numbers, which is good because I don't want them. And I can take all of that, I can copy it to my clipboard, and I can open up a new file here, and I can paste it in. Now, I'm not going to call this index again. I'm just going to call this accordion file.html. Okay? Now, the one thing that you're typically going to have to change is, see this? You might have to go back and make this HTTP colon and make this HTTP colon. All right? And I'm not bringing in this actual CSS, so mine might look a little bit uglier. And let's actually put something in here that matters. All right, so instead of section 1, what is jQuery? Okay, so I'm going to go out to the jQuery website, jquery.com, and let them tell me what jQuery is. It's fast there, it's all this stuff. Okay, so boom. So what is jQuery? I'm going to paste that in because I don't like this. This is just lorem ipsum text. Okay, so this is, jQuery is fast, small, feature-rich, JavaScript library, good, boom, 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 boom. Okay, so there's the first thing. All right. What is jQuery UI? Okay, so that's the second one. What is that? I'm going to remove what's there, and I'm going to go out to the jQueryUI.com. All right, and here it is. There's all the stuff that it is right there. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it right there. And again, I don't have to technically go and even this out, etc. I'm just doing it so you're able to read everything that I'm putting in here. All right. So next, what is a jQuery plugin? Okay. Again, I'm going to remove all that stuff that's here. Tab. So let's come in here and say jQuery plugin. And it'll bring me someplace to the plugin registry. There we go. Is that going to tell me what a plugin is? No. You recommend moving the jQuery plugin as a keyword, but it's restriction for publishing your plugin day. PM. You know what? I'm going to just grab this. If you missed it, the jQuery plugin registry now provides read access, boom, boom, boom. You may have heard some NPMs, boom, boom, boom. So this is a bunch of stuff that you want to do. How about this? What is a jQuery plugin? There you go. It's a simple new method, etc., etc. You can see all that good stuff that's in there. But again, I'm going to grab that, paste that in here. Okay, so that's in there. So now I've got that stuff. I don't want these ULs that are in here. I don't care about that. All right. But now I've got section 4, so we need one more thing. Why use jQuery? All right. And again, I'm going to come in here just like we put this. Why use No, in fact, you know what? What is a content delivery network. Okay, and there it is. All right, so I'm going to grab that and I'm going to change this to what is a CDN. Oops, already hit that. And paste that in. Why am I doing this? Because what they showed you in the book was just stupid. Okay? And out on jQuery.ui.com. But let's look at this one. All right, so here's my example. It's not going to be pretty, but it should be functional. Unless I made a mistake. It's thinking about it, so hopefully I didn't make any mistake. It's taking way too long. Let's look and see. Okay, there it is. Okay, so there's see what we've done? We now have an accordion. And it's actually a usable accordion. So I could go in there and I could change, I could play with some CSS, I could make this bigger, I could make my text bigger. But if I do go in and try to grab at least, let's see. That accordion. I'm going to right mouse click on here and do a view page source, and I want to look for that CSS file. Jquery Ui.css. What I'm trying to do is find the file that was in here that was actually utilized. Not that one. It is here. Come on. I'm trying to find this file that's right here. Resources, demos, style, CSS. I want that file. That. It's view page source, Control F, Control V. Of course it doesn't find it. Style. So it must be that one here. Resources, demos, style.css. I want that file. Resources, demos, style.css. I don't know if it'll give me that. Of course it's not found. There's it. There it is. That's the file I want. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to go back to my file here and I'm going to put in my head tag, I'm going to put in a style tag. I'm going to add that body style, and then I'm going to end my style tag. All right, so body. There we set the font family. Okay. We're setting the font size. Okay. Let's see if I made this better or worse. So that's what it looked like. Let's refresh. I don't know why that's taking so long, but that's okay. And while that is refreshing, two more things I want to mention. Okay, there's the one. Well, again, it works, but now it's really small. So it looks very bad. So let's do this. All right. These are H3 tags. What is etc. H3? All right, so let's take the H3 tags. Let's take the H3 tags and we're going to say font size 3M. It's going to be big. All right, and our body in here, our font size, we're going to make this 200%. All right, this may be real ugly, but we'll see. Again, I'm not sure why that's taking so long, but it is. All right, so there we go. Well, now that's too big, but you get the idea. See how it's working now? Okay, I'm not sure where we got that from. That's where we got that from. All right, let's go back and we'll make the font size here 1.5 ems, and we'll make the font size here also. We'll make it 1.33 ems. All right. No matter how this looks, this is the last time I'm going to jack with this, I promise. I want to talk to you very quickly about jQuery plugins, and then we'll be finished with the chapter. So that looks a little nicer. So there is our accordion. Okay, that's fine. The last thing I do want to mention, that plugins are built-in library files that other people have created. You can go out, there actually is a jQuery plugin registry. All right, so if I go out to here, let's grab right here, and let's type in jQuery plugin registry. All right, and it's at jquery.com/plugins. So how many are there? Lots. Let's add 500 and about 500 more. So that's 1,000, 1,300, about 1,600. 1,800, 2,000, there's about 2,500 different plugins. In addition, you can buy plugins. There are other free plugins that are out there. And again, what a plugin is it's something someone else has written and made available to you. All right. So, to finish this up, because it took a lot longer than I thought it would, jQuery allows you to do common tasks with minimal code. You've seen the 3 ways that you can link to the jQuery library, those being downloading the minified version, downloading the non-minified version, and using a content delivery network. Every jQuery statement starts with a $sign. jQuery works mainly with CSS selectors. You can modify the DOM with jQuery. jQuery has its own event listeners, it has its own methods, its own attributes, and it allows you to do some really cool stuff with animation. That's pretty much it for Chapter 12.